It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and Tan.
All right, hello everyone out there in podcast land. I'm the TanMan. I'm here with BG. He's back for another show. Back from his hiatus for another week.
I will be here for the discernible future.
We want to thank you for checking us out, downloading us this past week. Make sure,
unless you didn't.
If you didn't, then shame on you.
You're wrong.
Whichever platform you prefer, Spotify, iTunes, whatever it's called nowadays, make sure you hit the little like button.
I got to go with Spotify on that one, man. I love Spotify. Spotify is a great, and it's easy to use. It's easy to find us on there.
The only thing I don't like is that you can't type in there, oh man, this show is awesome on that stuff. Like Apple Podcast, you can, hint, hint, hint.
Being able
but
to
the other ones
prove to naysayers that we have thousands of listeners would be nice too.
Instead of what?
68.
68. Make sure you tell your friends about us if they're tired of the nonsensical blabber on their local radio.
And they are.
The numbers bear that out. Make sure you tell them about us. Check us out, BG, the Atlanta Braves. Let's talk some baseball, man.
The Braves
Where the Braves stand?
The Braves coming off a really, really tough stretch where I think they played 22 games in 20 days, and they are 3.5 games in first place, 73-57. We're up against the month of September. Nobody predicted this.
Whoa! Time out. Nobody. The TanMan said before the year started, the Atlanta Braves will be playing meaningful games in September.
You picked them to go 82-80.
I don't remember putting a number on it. What I said was they will be playing meaningful games in September. Did the TanMan?
That doesn't say they're in first place.
Did the TanMan get it right? Thank you.
That was not a survey. You're the one that clicked that bell sound.
I don't know where that came from.
Okay.
The Braves, I know they had the rough little weekend with the Rockies down there, but other than that, man, they have...
I think they just look worn out.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's a lot of baseball. Baseball's an exhausting game because you sit around a lot. I mean, that's tiring. Yeah. It actually is. I'm not being funny.
Where do they stand in relation to the rest of the National League? I think the Cubs have the best record, right?
Yes, the Cubs are 77-53, clearly comfortably in the lead for the one seed there in the MLB playoffs for the National League.
They're 4 up on Atlanta right now.
Yeah, and the Braves. So the Braves have the second best record in the National League because the Cardinals have lost one more game. The Cardinals, obviously, the team in first place for the wild card, currently half game in front of the Brewers.
All right, so the Braves. You think they're going to be able to honk down the Cubs? Are they going to be able to close that gap? I don't know, man. Here's 4 games with a month left to go. Nah,
probably not.
You just want to stay. You just want to stay out of that wild card.
Oh no, yeah.
I think.
But I'll tell you this: the Braves they have some tough series coming up.
Well, they've
got a series with Tampa Bay coming up. They've got a series with the Red Sox coming up. And let's just be fair. The Red Sox, if they don't win it all this year, it's going to be surprising.
Well, I tell you, this Rays series, they've got like the worst luck. They're not a terrible team. They're not a bad team, and they're stuck in the division with the Red Sox, who are on a historical pace.
Yeah.
And then the Yankees, who are just loaded offensively.
You take the Rays and put them in any of these National League divisions, and I think they're right in the hunt.
Yeah, they're right in the mix. Of course, the trade deadline, we're well past that now. So if you want to make a deal, they're out there. Got to go clear waivers. Alex Anthopoulos, I think I pronounced his name right, the GM for Atlanta. The Braves so far have not been successful making a move. They've thrown a few rods in the fire.
I think that just shows that they're only willing to offer so much. I just think they're very hesitant to mortgage or to mortgage away their future on. I mean, like.
Well, look, the Washington Nationals have clearly thrown in the towel.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they basically, after the trade deadline and probably even before, basically made everybody who was worth mentioning available. Atlanta put in a claim on Matt Adams. They lost that. I think the Cardinals were a little bit ahead of them. They passed on the Daniel Murphy. They did win a waiver claim on Mark Reynolds, but the Nationals said, no. They just shut it down.
Well,
I guess they didn't want him going into division. So
that's got a lot to do with that one. I was going to say, I think that's, and people forget too that the Nationals were the Expos, and the Expos and the Braves not fond of each other. And I don't know how much of that is still around, but
I know the last few years I've kind of been, I've kind of been pulling secretly side, my little side team for the Nationals, just to see somebody different, and mainly because I hate the Cubs. And the couple Braves fans that I said that to, oh my goodness!
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say.
Goodness.
As a Redskins fan, it's really odd for me to not. I hate the Nationals. I hate the Washington D.C. Nationals, and I love the Redskins. And just I don't know, deal with it.
Yeah,
it makes no sense, but there you are, because they were the Expos, and the Braves and the Expos. Bad blood forever.
I remember that strike, man. The Braves are in the middle of their streak. If that strike hadn't happened in '94, there is no streak because the Expos with Pedro Martinez, they were beating Atlanta that year. They were beating. They were ending the streak.
Late '80s to mid '90s, all those Expos teams were terrifying, just terrifying.
Vlad Guerrero.
I remember when Andres Galarraga wasn't even the big cat yet; he was just the thin cat,
skinny cat,
playing like as a rookie or second-year player for Montreal, and I thought he was the scariest thing. I'll tell you another, just going off on the deep end here, but Andre Dawson used to terrify me too. Seems like he beat the Braves back when the Braves were terrible, like 63 games a season. They didn't even play that often. And Andre Dawson would come pulling up and play for another team just for an at-bat, just to beat the Braves. I don't like the Nationals. Continue. I'm good now. What? I don't know what just happened.
We've lost control of the show.
And I love cherry jello.
Okay. Anthopoulos. I don't know how to come back from cherry jello, so we're just going to keep going. Anthopoulos, he's clearly open to making moves. He said, he's
making moves. Clearly open to making moves on his own standards. He's not going to just.
Well, the big thing was, a lot of talk was, why didn't they get in on the Daniel Murphy deal? Of course, he's the one that Chicago went out and grabbed. And Anthopoulos' quote was, "Look, we're open to making the moves, but we're not going to do it at the expense of team chemistry." And that's basically the same thing I said a few weeks ago. I'm not going to
come down on both sides of this argument.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
An interesting name that Atlanta didn't try and get in on. A couple names. One of them, Justin Smoke.
Yeah.
Hitting about 250, but 15 home runs against right-handed pitching so far. The former Gamecock.
Man, I would love that.
Atlanta, not interested. Another name.
Can you imagine how popular he would be in Atlanta?
Oh, they'd love him. They'd love him.
He's always played with a little chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
I feel like Atlanta could use a little bit of that.
And Granderson, not interested in him. What's your take on what they've done or not done so far? Should they have gone out and made a move? I know they're still in the market for some bullpen help. We've got a couple names out there. I think Sam Dyson was a former Gamecock, was he not?
Yes.
Sergio Romo from Tampa Bay, but so far, nothing.
Well, here's my thing. My personal opinion is that this year, I don't see anything out there that is going to put them within the neighborhood of we feel like we can take down the Boston Red Sox in a World Series. And that is what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about winning a World Series. I mean, I don't think it's because you're not going to keep these guys. And what are you going to give away to get them?
Well, and that's the thing. Hey, you look. I know they've dealt a couple of the guys in the farm just in kind of side moves lately. But you heard at the start of the season, it was just name after name after name of all these young guys. There's like 8 starting pitchers. Like, okay, you're not going to use it. Some of these guys are going to be
well,
dealt.
but the problem is they don't really think all 8 of them are going to pan out because they never do.
And so they're kind of playing it a little close to the vest. But you kind of brought this zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't beat the Red Sox, then there's no point.
Well, I think the Braves they're in that kind of territory right now. They're a first place team. They're going to be a 90-win team. I
agree. I mean, I wouldn't really go rating the farm system to bring in Justin Smoke either. I'm just saying, if the move is out there, just because you can't beat the Red Sox or the Yankees, doesn't necessarily mean that you don't go and take a stab at it. Because, like I said, 2004 Florida Marlins.
I know that. I have diagnosed you as actually having an issue that I think you need to go talk to someone about.
Just one?
You did this, yes.
Just one?
You did this same thing with the Hornets, man. You did this thing where you're like, 1 week, I just think the Hornets need to trade Kimba. They need to unload everybody.
Well, they should have traded Kimba, but what they didn't,
the week after that, you're like, no, I feel like we can make a move here. Now the LeBron's gone from the East. That's the same thing you do with the Braves.
But that's that's a different, you're talking a whole different thing.
You're making the argument that LeBron matters?
At the trade deadline, I thought they should have traded Kimba.
I got you. I know what you're saying.
But now that LeBron's gone, now you kind of have to.
Okay, so
now you have to reevaluate and deal with what you have in front of you.
This afternoon, I talked to the dude who hooked us up with our new digs, right? And he is
a friend of the show,
a lifelong Braves fan, knows more about baseball than probably is healthy. And as a lifelong Braves fan, I just wanted his opinion. And he sort of said, look, I'll be honest, I expected him to come down with the sort of cerebral argument that I'm trying to make. And you have to take your fanhood out of this. You have to take your passion out of this and think about it like a GM and say, all right, we're ahead of schedule, all this stuff that we've said on the show.
Right.
And he was like, man, that's a bunch of crap. He's like, I feel like as a Braves fan, I've been waiting for a decade. I've been told this stuff. I want to win. Go do what you need to do. And that's what he said. I mean, so that, to me, I think there are probably a lot of Braves fans out there that think that way. He was also willing to admit that was probably not a smart way to think. But I get it.
We're just looking at this schedule, man. It is. You brought it up a minute ago.
Yes,
it's backloaded. Tampa. You've got Boston. You've got 4 at Arizona. You've got St. Louis. You've got 7 games with the Phillies within the last couple weeks of the season.
And look at that. Right before that, you have 3 games in between with the feared Mets. Oh, wait.
No.
It's not 1997.
No,
okay.
It's just kind of the Mets now.
Yeah.
It's not feared.
No, I think it's laughable is actually.
Yeah, the Braves have got their work cut out for them to close the season. So we'll see. We'll see how they go this offseason. 2 names that I've heard over the past few weeks. Get your thoughts on this. One is Buster Posey.
Yeah.
Should they have made a move to try and get Posey? He's getting ready to have hip surgery. They're saying it may be May before he could go again. The other name, the white whale that's out there, Bryce Harper. BG, is there any chance Atlanta goes this offseason? Let's say they make the playoffs. They have a nice little playoff run, maybe win a series. Is there any chance they go this offseason and make a big splash, go and try to land a big fish?
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything out of this Braves front office that makes me think. When's the last, I know this is a brand new management unit, I get all that, but when's the last time that you can remember the Braves making a huge, Greg Maddux? Does Mark Teixeira count?
That's what I was going to say. Teixeira, but they weren't really, they weren't really a contender, I don't think, when they brought Teixeira in. That era.
Well, they had just come off maybe winning that division the year before, but I think the one that I recall having a really big impact, obviously Maddox had a huge impact. Fred McGriff was what I was going to say. They brought him in, remember, in the middle of the season. And the night they brought him in, Atlanta
clubhouse caught fire, didn't
the whole stadium caught on fire. He hit a home run to win the game.
I remember that.
And they won that division because of Fred McGriff that year.
No question.
It changed the entire team, but the Braves historically have not been that big splash team. I'm still sort of in awe that Ronald Acuna plays for the Braves. He reminds me of those guys that you see on somebody else's roster, and you're like, how do we keep missing this guy? Like, it's like the Lakers. Like, the Lakers always get that guy.
Yeah.
And you can't have that guy. That's the way the Braves usually feel.
I think it was the Dodgers that put in the claim on Harper, and the Nationals shut that down. I think they made a big mistake because I just don't see Harper going back there. I think he's gonna land somewhere.
Yes. They need to get something for him rather than
I think that ship has pretty much sailed. I think that was their last chance. And now whether or not Atlanta, there was some.
Does that mean that they weren't willing to trade him to anybody in the National League? I mean, like the Dodgers. I mean,
I don't know. So I read where the Dodgers were the team that put the claim in on him. And
well, you remember when the Nationals used to sit Steven Strasburg in like July because his arm was sore. I mean, like, they haven't sniffed a World Series, man. I don't know what they're doing.
Harper's name was linked to the Braves early on. In the year. But I think that price tag is, despite his rough season, I think that price tag has ballooned well out of Atlanta's price range. They weren't going to let him trade
to the Dodgers. They weren't going to let Atlanta have him.
Well, he'll be a free agent this winter.
Yeah, this winter. But
Atlanta's not shelling out the $400 million, wherever it's going to take to land Bryce Harper. I don't know if that $400 million number is realistic or not, but it's out there. And
it'll be in that neighborhood.
And Atlanta is not tossing a line anywhere near that pond.
I would love to know how this run of wins has affected the philosophy of that media conglomerate that owns them. I mean, like, I'm just not sold, and I think this is what our buddy was getting at when I talked to him today, that Atlanta fans are still, this is nice, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of Braves fans are still not sold that winning a World Series is really a goal. That this is nice, this is good enough, that we just want to sell tickets.
So you just want
I
don't worry about them just wanting to be the Oakland A's.
They
just want to be pretty good.
I'm very worried about that. I'm extremely worried. In fact, I would say that there's a 9 out of 10 probability that that's the case. As long as this company, I can't even remember what they're called off the top of my head all of a sudden.
Liberty Media.
Liberty Media. As long as they, and I mean, and half of the money they make is on pornography.
Well,
they're not involved with the community of Atlanta at all. I think they're based in Denver, aren't they?
I'm not sure.
I think they're in Denver, Colorado. As long as they own this team, not that the individual Ted Turner ownership was all that. I mean, but he wanted to win, and like. This, I don't know that there's one guy sitting down making these decisions. I mean, who knows what the GM's actual directive is in Atlanta right now?
For all the young talent that they have on this team, if you want to talk about big splashes, then I'm going to say no. I'm going to say
no. I don't think anybody thinks that's.
Yeah, I'm going to say Atlanta is not going to go into the Buster Posey sweepstakes. They're not going into the Bryce Harper sweepstakes. What you're talking about is how committed the ownership group is to actually making a championship run and investing in that like the Cubs have and the Dodgers have and the Red Sox have. I think you'll see that when some of these young guys like Acuna, like Ozzie Albies, some of these young pitchers.
Oh, absolutely.
When they start coming up to
contract
time and to time to get paid, you'll see whether or not that ownership group is really serious about winning a World Series, or like you said, just being good enough to still be playing baseball that matters right now.
And let's be fair, the city of Atlanta didn't earn a great reputation as a baseball city during the 90s when the Braves were on that massive run. They were having trouble selling out National League Championship Series games.
By the end of that playoff run, by the end of that run that they had, the attendance at those playoff games, I'll say it was pathetic.
Yes.
When the Cubs, they played the Cubs a few times in the division series, and the place was overrun with Cubs fans, which is inexcusable for a playoff series. But no, you're right. The fan support during that run, especially at the end, was awful. Yeah, hopefully.
And sort of arrogant.
And hopefully,
And that's what it was. It wasn't disinterested.
No.
It was like, oh, well, when you guys make the World Series, we'll pay attention.
Well, and hopefully now they've struggled for a good little while now. They've got some young guys. They've kind of turned the thing all the way over. Hopefully, it energizes the base a little bit more. And come playoff time, what's the new place called? SunTrust Park.
SunTrust Park.
I almost said Turner Field. Hopefully, SunTrust Park will be slammed full of Braves fans. It'll be a nice change.
I think that this year, I think the playoff home situation will look feisty and loud.
I think so too.
But again, I'm coming at it from Liberty Media's standpoint. That's if you have no chance to win the World Series, and they know that, and the fans know that, and they show up anyway, then to me, that is exactly what what Liberty Media wants. Okay, well, we don't need to be better than this.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not what they're thinking, but that's what I'm worried that they're thinking.
Yep. All right. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at The Border War. I'm at TanMan3264. He is at BG_Border War. Email us at CarolinaBorderWar@gmail.com. Once again, get your picks in. Any one of those three ways will be fine. We'll have the list up on Facebook and Twitter both. And like I said, once you get caught up and listen to everything we have to offer, head over to Stadium Scene, because I promise you, anything that you find over at StadiumScene.tv, any of those podcasts will be better than your local sports talk radio guide.
Which is probably crappy like ours is.
I think that's a given.
You want to hit up the Red Lobster, your treat?
No.
Why not? Cheesy bread?
No.